Hey, everybody.
Let's get this show going, man.
Welcome to the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, a Washington Commanders podcast for fans by fans, with your hosts, Jessy Martin.
The Cowboys are finished, you understand me?
John Taman.
Pull down my trousers and do your job.
Scott Hartley.
Well, that was dreadful.
And occasionally, Keith Gregg.
So many social engagements, so little time.
And now, your host.
Hey, that's me. I'm your host. I'm John Taman. It is Friday, man. We have not been here since last Friday.
Freaky Friday. It seems like it's been a long time.
I know. I like doing this show so goddamn much for the, maybe 5 of you that pay attention to this, that I have, here he is, and late, here he comes. It's Ken Johanssen, our special guest today. Burgundy Burner, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing okay if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
We can hear you perfectly fine.
Yep, I can hear you just fine. I was just going over with Jessy about how, the bye week, I get it. I know why it's good, but I hate it as a fan because, I hear a lot of people say, oh, boy, it's so nice to watch stress-free football. But you know what? It stresses me out watching everybody know how to play football, and we don't know how to play football. What do you think, Ken?
I don't think we know how to play football.
No, but does it give you a stress-free feeling to go ahead and watch Red Zone all day on Sunday when we're not playing? Because you can see how much we are behind everybody.
I try not to really focus on things like that. I don't have Red Zone, but I do get feeds of various games that I want to see. And sometimes I see a 0-0 game that ends up in a 3-0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like last week.
Yeah. And then that same team that scored 0 comes back, scores 63 last night. So,
yeah,
to me, at this point, I try not to place too much emphasis on these teams. The team that lost last night just all of a sudden had their 3 or 4 coaches fired, including the head coach.
All of a sudden. That was like the slowest fall off a cliff I've ever seen. Everybody knew that was coming. It's like Rod Rivera's laying there. They put him in the guillotine upside down. He's just watching the blade come down right now.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
So for me, I try not to really overreact at how some teams are really efficient, others are inefficient, and this is a league, and it's been this way for many, many years. Where on any given Sunday or Monday or Thursday, the worst team can actually beat the best team, and so on. So
we've seen it. Maybe not that, but yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah, not too often with our guys, but it does happen.
Well, I do recall that my friend over here, I kind of pointed the opposite way so I could point out my good friend Jessy Martin from down here in Southeast Virginia. How are you doing today, sir? And I do recall he said just 10 days ago on this very podcast that the Patriots will not win another game, and they went ahead and won another game.
Yeah, I'll put my foot in my mouth on that one. I even put it in our chat the other day, just like last week, just being focused on other teams and not really. I hate bye weeks. I despise bye weeks. I don't care how stressed out I am during games, whether we win or lose. I would rather watch my team lose than not watch them at all. Period.
Hey, Ken, I'm going to ask you a favor. You do have a little click. It's to push the mute button until you're ready to talk, and then pull it up. Is that possible?
There you go. And then
take it off whenever you want.
I realized, and I think I texted this to you guys. There's some bad football that was played last week. Some awful football.
Chargers showed up,
and realized that we're a bad team, but it could be worse.
Yeah, we're not the Chargers. We're not the Chargers. You know what? Go ahead, let the click come through. It's not so bad. Put your mic back on so that way you can jump in whenever you're ready. I don't want to leave you sitting over there all quiet.
When we're talking, when someone's talking, you can't hear the click.
Nah, and you know how it is on this show. Just jump in with both feet.
No, let me. I'll listen to y'all for the next couple of minutes. I'm going to play with a couple of settings, and I'll still be on screen. Anything if I hear something that interests me, I'll pop in.
All right, that sounds good to me.
Give me a minute or two.
All right,
no problem. And if you can't get it fixed, don't worry about it. Come back.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Come on in. It's not like it's nothing all that really.
Look, there's some bad football play, but I like I said, would much rather listen or watch my team lose than not watch them at all. Luckily, the bye week's done. We're moving on. We got a game against the Los Angeles Rams that are looking better and better. Earlier in the year, we were looking at this game, when we were playing better and looking at this game like, okay, this is a game that we could possibly win. Now, I don't know if there's much of a chance because they seem to be firing on some
as many cylinders as they have anyway.
Yeah. I don't think their defense is not nearly as good as those of like the Cowboys and the 49ers and the Jets. Wow. I think this, they have Aaron Donald and they got a good linebacker. But other than that, it's hit and miss. I think this is a big game for Sam. This is a really, really big game for Sam in our offense. I really don't care how much the Rams score on us. I think our defense is really good.
You can't now. We're kind of numb to it, right?
So 3 minutes of our football game. Like I might not even watch the defense when the defense is on the field. I just might, go do something.
Don't go do something for long because they aren't on the field for long. All of a sudden it's over the top and it's a touchdown.
But I'm excited for the team to be back on the field.
I noticed. I mean, last week when you talk about how the Rams are clicking, they took the Ravens for all they could, man. And I'll tell you what, I think in our pick show, I think I took the Ravens and gave 7.5. They ended up winning by 7, which fucking cost me. But the fact of the matter was that game was in the air all the way up until practically the end, man. The Rams kept coming back and scoring. They had the lead like 2 or 3 times, I think, and they had the lead initially in the game. So, yeah, I am not at all looking forward to what they're going to be able to do against us. I noticed that the Ravens triple teamed Aaron Donald last week quite a bit. And if we triple team anybody, my God. Oh, my God. It's bombing.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you what. Since we started off with the Rams, I do have something left from last week that I wanted to play off for y'all. This is we have a new feature on the show. The owner of the Commanders, Magic Johnson, has been gracious enough to tweet often enough that we can get a good idea about what he has to say. So we started to take some of his tweets, and here we go.
Meditations with Magic Johnson.
My Commanders did not play last week. I did not know why, so I asked one of my fellow football team owners, why didn't the Commanders play last week? He said, it was the bye week. I thought that is what we called away games. Being a football team owner is complicated sometimes.
So there you go. Magic Johnson giving us his thoughts here on the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. And we're going to have as many of those as we can possibly squeeze into the show sometime. So we might as well go ahead and bring it on up. We talked about the Rams already as to how well they're playing. So here's the thing. How bad are they going to beat us? And I know, Ken, you like to stay positive, but you're a realist. How bad can this possibly get? Can they top the Raiders this week?
Can who top the Raiders?
Can the Rams top the Raiders? Coming to you live from the Bleeding Burgundy weather chopper, Ken Johanssen.
By the way, can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you fine.
Right. How's the traffic out there?
In Memphis?
Well, yeah, I mean, I see it. I see the potential that they can run it up.
I think that McVay is not the kind of guy that will run up the score like that. I understand why last night happened. The Miami game was an outlier, and I think though the Rams would like to put 40 plus on us, just because they have some momentum right now, and they really want to ride that momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah,
they're still on the bubble, and yet I think this is a team that's going to get in. So they have something to prove in this game, because they're in the same division with Seattle, who's battling for a spot.
And they're falling off.
Obviously, San Francisco, one of the best in the league. And of course, bring out the bottom is Arizona, who can pull off an upset on occasion. So I think McVay does not want to see some sort of upset on Sunday. So I think they'll put on some points. Do I think it's going to be similar to what we've seen the last couple of games against Dallas and Miami? Yes, I do.
46.
Look, the remaining games the Rams have this year is the Saints. That's next or on Thursday. The Giants and then the 49ers. So I think besides that 49ers game, Rams say tomorrow or on Sunday is a win. I mean, they can end up 9-8 and easily get into the playoffs there. I still think there's a chance for an 8-win team to jump into that last wild card spot.
You got a whole pile of them there that are. I'm sorry, Ken. That's making some fun noise. I'm enjoying the shit out of that. Wait till you listen to the show back. You're gonna love it.
Let's still hear it.
Yeah, it's not a bother at all. It's just every once in a while. It's going very softly, and then every once in a while it sounds like a fart. And I mean, if it's you, I'm sorry. I don't mean to point it out. There it is.
You caught me.
So, all right. So we've got a bunch of teams piled up at 6 and 7. All right. So, yeah, I could see the Rams grabbing one of these things. The Packers fell off this week by letting DeVito go out there and beat them. The Falcons fell off this week. The Buccaneers, that whole division, who cares? But somebody's got to win it. There's 3 teams at 6 and 7. And then the Rams and the Seahawks. So I can't remember what you told me when you said who the Rams had left. I know they
they got the 49ers left, but then they have the Giants and the Saints as well. So I think they can beat the Saints. I think they can beat the Giants, even though the Giants are riding high on your Tommy DeVito.
Vito out there throwing bombs, baby. Look at him go there.
Yeah, it's I think the Rams got a legit shot of making this, the 7th or possibly 6th seed. Let's see. Hunter put up something here. Do you think he's saying that we're not going on the road and keep this within 7 points? Granted, I think we're a 6.5 point dog, but do you think that we can? Do you think, I want to start with Kim on this, do you think our offense will have a better showing than what we've seen the past couple of weeks from this team?
Well, it depends on the play calling. I think this team can put up points. It also depends on the protection. We know that Sadiq Charles is coming back. How much will he play? It came out today that they may try, a little bit of platooning on that offensive line during the game. I don't know if I'm in favor of something like that. Pick a player and go with it.
Look, I'm in favor this week, especially in the interior line, of trying to sneak fucking 12 guys out there. Look, this is Aaron Donald when he heard that Sadiq Charles was coming. Right, I recycled that joke because that little Aaron Donald is excited. Right? Yeah, Charles or Chris Paul. He's like, he's sharpening up his blade.
Yeah, they activated Charles off the IR today. He it was pretty quick too. They didn't wasted no time, but I think he's got to do better than what Chris Paul.
I have an impression for you. This is Sadiq Charles when he got the call that he was being activated. Oh, no, that's all right, man. I'm kind of busy, So, anyway, that's where I really have my most fear. I just don't know that they're going to be able to protect against that defensive line, especially Aaron Donald, who is not having the best of seasons. But it's because, man, you watched the Ravens last week. 3 guys to take him out of a play. 3 guys. And 3 Ravens is equal to 6 Commanders. So we're really kind of fucked. I think we got to have some quick game and we got to get away from wherever he lines up.
Yeah, Bieniemy's got to call a smart game. Everybody knows who listens to this shows I'm not a Bieniemy fan. I was a huge fan of him when we hired him. He has definitely let me down. I think it takes him too long to make adjustments. I think he has done Sam no favors with his development as far as play calling goes, playing to the strengths of this team. What is successful is the quick game. And I think the first red flag that most of us as fans totally looked over in the offseason in training camp is them not working on the run game whatsoever.
Right.
And it's taken this long to see some semblance of a run game. Brian Robinson, for all intents and purposes, has had a really, really good year. I think if they gave him the ball earlier and often, he could have had a great year.
I don't know if I'd give him a really. He's had a good year. He's been effective, but then again, he's not been effective because there have been games where we have said, we want to go to the run early, but they've tried, and it's not necessarily his fault, but it gets bottled up. All right. And a lot of times I was bitching earlier in the season that they try to go early in the run, but they try to run to the outside instead of trying to open up something in the middle. And then when they do open up something in the middle, it doesn't open up and it goes for no yards. So we see one rush in the first quarter for fucking 12 yards and we go, wow, look what he could do. But then everything else gets bottled up.
Yeah, but everything else is like two other times, though. I mean, sometimes
they go away from it. You're right.
Sometimes you got to keep
running plays over the years. Fuck this.
Yeah, exactly. You got to some backs, and I think this Robinson and even Adrian Peterson earlier on his career, sometimes it took him a couple carries just to get going. And I'm not comparing Robinson to Adrian Peterson, but backs do that. That takes a little bit of time, and even for offensive lines, it takes time for them to get into rhythm.
Sure.
And we just go away from, or it's just non-existent way too quick in the ball game. Now, again, the past few games we've done a little bit better of a job. But I think it's just a little bit too little, too late. Yeah. Ken, what do you think on it?
I want to see a better setup in the passing game. Why haven't we gone into stacked formations?
Something that pops open quick. Right.
I haven't seen that this year from Washington. Put De'Ami Brown in the lead for a stacked formation. Let him take that speed he has and run the seam. And then you have right behind him Terry McLaurin, then John Dawson. Do that 3 or 4 times a game. Mm-hmm. You're going to get those underneath routes. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a hitch route, a whip route, any kind of route that's going to get you a guaranteed 5 or 6 yards, maybe even 8 or 12 yards. And if Brown happens to somehow get open, sure. Sling it down the field and see what happens.
I'll tell you what'll happen. Whoop, right through the hands.
Yeah. Most of the time. But you know what? De'Ami Brown
catch one.
Yeah, at times has done really well this season. So that's what I would do. Try to get a little bit creative with the receivers so they can gain separation. The West Coast offense relies on 5, 6, 8 yard gains.
Right.
And that way on second down, you have some good options. Well, so go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say the reason that we can't really run that is because nobody has to stay deep and respect anything because the defensive line or whoever they send can get in on Sam Howell very quickly.
Again, good coaches can work around bad offensive lines.
So here's what my point of this, because you're talking, Ken's talking about the short part of the West Coast offense. And, the thing is that Sam, even though we haven't hit a pass more than 37 yards in the air or whatever that stupid stat was, the fact of the matter is when he gets outside of the pocket, he can sling it and he can hit it on the run accurately. And I don't see anything that really takes advantage of what I think is his biggest strength at this juncture. He doesn't have the time to sit back and survey the field. He's not that kind of a guy anyway. But he can get outside and he can throw on the move. So you're like you said, Ken, get some stack formations in there and have him flood one side of the field while he runs over that way. You're bound to find something.
We said it before. Hal's biggest plays are off of broken plays. They're not off plays that Bieniemy has designed. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he's becoming a little bit predictable. I think that pick 6 that Sam threw against the Dolphins. Everybody that was sitting on the couch knew what play was going to be run, including Van
Ginkel's mother.
Van Ginkel. Yeah. So he even said afterwards, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I put that squarely on Bieniemy. I mean, Wiley didn't do his part either, but
neither did Sam. You can't throw it to the big guy in white helmet right in front of you.
Well, if all goes well, if Wiley does what he's supposed to do, that Van Ginkel is taken out of that play, right?
The thing is that Wiley did do what he was supposed to do. It's just Van Ginkel knew what it was and was able to just go right past it. Wiley's going out to try to get for the screen. They didn't account. I don't think they accounted for Van Ginkel.
He's supposed to chip him. He's supposed to take him out, then go out. I mean, anyways, I think we got to see more from Sam, and hopefully in turn see more from Bieniemy, because these next 4 games it's important for Sam and for us as a fan base. If Sam is going to be the guy, because if we're going to have the 3rd or 4th pick in the draft, a quarterback is going to be mighty enticing. And you have to think about it as a GM and the new coaching staff, whoever that's going to be. I mean, if Sam, if there's any questions whatsoever, that is going to be the top priority is figuring out if Sam is going to be their guy for another year. I personally think that we should give him another year, build that offensive line around him, Ken. Because, it's really not Sam's fault that he's been getting killed. Yeah, earlier in the season, which he's gotten a heck of a lot better throughout the season. He's grown in that aspect. He was holding on the ball too long, and that happens with young quarterbacks. And pair a weak offensive line with a young quarterback trying to find his way in a new offensive system. Yeah, you're going to get some sacks taken. But as he's progressed, he's definitely done a better job in trying to get rid of the ball. He will still hold it once in a while, but I think if we can build an offensive line around that kid, we can really see what he could do. What do you think, Ken, about Sam Howell?
Well, offensive line is the key, right?
Always is.
It always is. You know what they say: if you have the big uglies up front on either side of the ball, you're a playoff team.
That's right. The big uglies coming in from Nebraska, weighing 345 pounds. Look at the big corn husker. Whoa, Nelly.
And I had, in today's mock draft that I had posted at Hogs Haven, I had us taking a left tackle in the first round.
Oh, you're the best.
And I had us taking a right tackle in the 3rd round. Now, he is a left tackle, but he's been, a lot of analysts think he's be going to the right side at the next level.
Who was your 3rd round?
Not Chris Paul.
His brother. Yeah, from Houston. Yeah, no, I like him. I'd welcome that.
But I had a guard / tackle taken a little bit later in the draft, someone who's underrated but scores well in the analytics. And I think you're going to have to get 3 guys in this draft, especially first round, certainly no later 3rd, and so on. I just don't think we're going to see what we want to see from Sam Howell because of the offensive line down the stretch.
Right.
I think what we want to see is at least some reasonable progress, and I think we've seen quite a bit so far this season. I just want him to stay upright. I don't want him to get injured. And I would like to see 1, maybe even 2 more 300 yards games. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, if he ends up right now, he's on pace for about 4,500 yards for the season. Back in August, I came on this podcast and I said, you asked me to say what would be a just incredible season for Sam Howell. And I said 4,800 yards. Well, guess what? Guess what? He's doggone close to it. And about 3 weeks ago, he was actually on pace for about 4,775 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So he was that close. So
I need to see fewer mistakes, less pick sixes. I mean, you can't do that 3 times in a row. And
And I think we'll see that. I think we'll see in these final 4 games, a scheme that will help him somewhat. We're not going to see, all of a sudden a 4-game winning streak down the stretch.
No, please.
But
I'd rather stay up there because I want Joe Alt.
But the key players that down the stretch that we want to see do really well, obviously Sam Howell's one. Another one that's going to get, I think, some good amount of playing time and has a chance to gain some major yardage.
Rodriguez,
Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah, I want to talk about him.
If we can see a good 60 to maybe even 80 yards for the game, rushing, and maybe have him go over 100 yards total offense, I think that bodes well for the offense. Can you imagine him and Robinson as a 2-1 punch?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
100%.
Gibson's contract is up too. So
what we're doing, I think, in these final 4 games is, the players are going to do, an evaluation thing. Now, I realize the current staff, they're doing the evaluations these next 4 games, but this current staff is not going to be here next year, with the exception maybe of Eric Bieniemy. We just don't know what's going to happen there.
Right.
But at the very least, these players, especially your key players, these next 4 games need to put together some positive things so the new regime coming in will have a few months to look at what they did down the stretch. That is really the key.
Mm-hmm.
The wins and losses just don't matter at this point.
You can't say that to Eric Bieniemy, though. Did you hear what he said yesterday?
Look, he has to say what he has to say.
Yeah,
he has to be politically correct there.
I guess so. But wins and losses on a quarterback his first year, you can't do that.
But bottom line, I think you just want to see these players putting forth good effort, not limiting their mistakes, and showing that next year they can take the next step or 2 forward and produce a playoff team in the future.
Is Emmanuel Forbes playing tomorrow?
Yep, he's active. I just got the notice earlier today that he is active, and that's good. We really want. I want to kind of slide back to Chris Rodriguez just for a moment. Mm-hmm. I think that he is a good running back. I want to see him in the passing game. I want to see how he handles that because I think that's big because. With Gibson being gone next year, I doubt very. Who knows? Maybe the new staff would want to bring him back on some kind of small contract or what have you. But I think him and B-Rob are pretty similar running backs. B-Rob is a little bit bigger than Rodriguez, but I don't think we have enough information with Rodriguez in the passing game to make that amount to anything.
I haven't seen him throw it to it at all.
Yeah, so if we can get like Ken said, if we see him get 30 to 40 yards in the passing game and about 50 yards in the running game, I think that would be great for Chris Rodriguez to see.
I'll tell you what, if we had a back 50 yards in a game, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, it's just not you said this last week when I said something about we were talking about Brian Robinson because Ken's one of these guys that wants these guys in the Pro Bowl, and I just don't I'm just not buying into this stuff. Robinson, he's the best consistent player we've had this year, and it's just not enough. Yeah. I know you're right. 100-yard running backs they don't happen anymore. You just don't see that anymore because people don't run it as much, and they shift them in and out a lot more. No running back comes from the era when Ken and I remember when a guy got 30 carries in a game. You just don't hear that. You were saying earlier about running backs that need a couple of carries and to get going. Dude, I remember John Riggins. Keith's cussing right now. Who cares about the old days? John Riggins sometimes would take 10 or 12 carries before he started pounding on people.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. And I've said it to you before. Those linebackers, man, you get a guy that can thump. You send him through there. You send him through there again. And you send him through there again. It might get 3 yards this time. It might get 2 yards this time. But he keeps running.
It wears him down. It breaks him down. Yeah. And that's and linebackers aren't built like they used to be.
And they don't pad up at all.
Yeah. But I think Rodriguez has some thumper in him, man. He's kind of a stout type. Yeah, he's a stout type of running back, and the more you do it up in the fourth quarter, I mean, just imagine you're tired. It's a close game, and you got Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez just coming at you. I mean, these guys will lay the lumber, and we just didn't get a chance to see that this year.
Laying the lumber, by the way, is also a euphemism for gay sex. Did you know that?
That is true. Yeah. That is true. Thanks for your euphemism of the
it's
day.
It's in Canada.
I want to say one more thing about Antonio Gibson here. We kind of pass over him a little bit.
Yeah, please.
He's on pace for 48 receptions this year. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And he needs about 30, 35 more yards to reach his career high for the season. So this is a guy who's productive, and he's productive in Eric Bieniemy's offense. So I think that if EB stays around, I think Gibson is a player that they will re-sign, and I think it'll be a team-friendly contract. And I think he wants to play in this offense. And we'll be back to Robinson, Rodriguez, and Gibson, and that is a potent running back core.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Let's just not give Gibson the ball up the middle.
That's the thing I was going to say, because now you're going to get more carries for Gibson. Let's see if more touches for Gibson means fumbles. That he's on trial too. But I agree with you. We have so many people coming up on contract. We can't let them all walk. Some people are going to be re-signed, and Gibson might be a wise choice.
We have only 25 players coming back on contract, and we only have a 9.5, and that half is Sam Howell starters coming back, starter-worthy players coming back, and that's both on offense, defense combined. Just think about that. We have $89 million in cap space, but that is over 50% of your team not on contract. That $89 million is going to go extremely quick. Just signing backups. I mean, you have to fill your roster. So you're going to be able to sign one or two, decent sized contracts, but that money is going to go, and it's going to go quick. And another thing that I had thought about with the quarterback situation, and I want to win like 2 more games just so the ability to draft high, a quarterback might not be within reach.
I want Joe Alt within reach. That's what
I would take either of the 2 top tackles. I'd take, but
go ahead.
Sam Howell has just 2 years left on contract. Okay, because he was a 5th rounder, he only gets 4 years. Now, is also the temptation there to draft a first-round quarterback so you have control of him for 5 years? That is a temptation now. But I don't want that to happen. I want Sam to be the guy. I want our quarterback solved, or at least give him another year. Let's see, build around him and see what that's what I want. But I don't think
it's wishful thinking. That's the thing. I don't think it's wishful thinking. And I'm like you. I'm a bird in hand kind of guy. 2 in the bush are over there looking nice, but God damn it, I got one right here. And what he has shown, which a lot of people discount, he can play at this level. He can fucking make plays at this level. It's not too fast for him. It's not overly freaking mental for him. He doesn't make mistakes very often. I mean, he makes mistakes, don't get me wrong. But when he does, he tends to clean them up. And I saw what was it Deluxe that wrote that was a trust throw. And I get it, but dude, you can't close your eyes and throw it. You can't just pretend there's nothing there. He's right in front of you. That's telling me he might just step out off the curb into the front of a truck. All right, so these quarterbacks in the draft, from here on through until the end of April, we're going to hear these sons of bitches built up from the best quarterback that this guy has ever seen to, oh, this is Joe Montana, Dan Marino. This is, oh my God, look at this. This is another generational talent coming out of college again. And, I don't give a fucking rat's ass. All right. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Top 5 quarterback does not mean great quarterback. If that was true, then there would not be busts all over the side of the road. All right.
This is my dart. You're throwing it at a board.
It's so hard to find one. And people say, well, you got to keep pushing till you find elite. And I'm going to say it again. All right, Ken, you're an old timer like me. You know the history of this league. If you looked at every single team in this league back to the beginning of their time, all right, however long that is, the elite, true elite quarterbacks that they have had, some teams have never had any. Most teams have never had any. Our last elite quarterback was Sammy fucking Baugh.
Yeah, that's true.
Sonny Jurgensen, for all his greatness, never won a goddamn thing.
Did you see the defense back then?
I
did.
You did. Okay. All right. Let's go. See, but these are guys coming back from the war, man. They were smashing people around because they were just like, great. This is fun.
Well, the defense back then was under Bill McPeak, Otto Graham. Oh my,
Oh, you're talking about Sonny's defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
horrible. So, but Sonny, there's a reason why Sonny Jurgensen is in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, he's worth
it. Saying.
Right.
But,
oh yeah, absolutely. Elite means win.
Hunter said Joe Theismann was elite. I think Joe Theismann was great. I'm not sure if that elite should be.
No, Joe was right out there every once in a while.
And Joe was our last franchise quarterback.
Yes, he was.
If Joe had really succeeded in that punt, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if he'd have beat the Raiders in Super Bowl 18, he'd might be in the Hall of Fame.
Now, I'm joking about that punt he tried.
I know. The 4-yard punt. I always look at that, and when everybody says, "Oh, if the punter gets hurt," I'm like, "Yeah, if the punter gets hurt, you're in trouble," because I've seen what happens there.
So we got Sadiq Charles coming back. We got Forbes coming back. Let's talk about. I want to get you guys' opinion on Danny Johnson.
All right, well, hang on. Danny Johnson. We're going to bring up the Rams real quick. Let me go ahead and put this on there.
Meditations with Magic Johnson.
I hope my Commanders can beat the Rams on Sunday. I have a lot of friends in Los Angeles, and I don't want them to make fun of me or my Commanders. They told me they had a guy named Puka who was going to score all over my Commanders' defense, and I thought they was just joking me. I said, nobody is named that. That is what you name a cat. And then it turns out they do have a guy named Puka, and he is pretty good. I hope he stays away from Benjamin St. Just. He isn't very good.
Well, we can all learn a lot from Magic.
Smart guy. All right, so the Washington Commanders waived old Danny Johnson. Listen, this is my thoughts on it, and I'll break it to you. He wasn't doing anything for us. No. I don't care. Don't care.
Yeah,
people can say, "Oh, he was a smart player," but he continually got burned year in year out. He made a play here and there, just like every other cornerback in the league. I don't get what all the hubbub was. I know our co-host Scotty got our buddy Scotty got his panties in a wad, and it was a 2-year, $2.75 million contract. It was chump change, not very much dead cap. So I mean, do y'all care that Danny Johnson got waived?
I couldn't care less if Danny Johnson got waived. I mean, he's had a nice couple of plays here and there, but he is indicative of what we as Commanders and Redskins fans have had forever, in which we have average to below average players. We go, wow, look, he made a play, back in October. So, but his agent is why he was here, because he gave us this brilliant highlight reel.
You got your sunrise, you caught a prize, you're making your Johnson. Party nights, summer whites, your friends and your Johnson. Rooster tails, water trails, your kids and your Johnson. Saturday nights, distant lights, your girl and your Johnson.
You and your Johnson, a way of life for over 50 years.
We got
Ken choking over there.
Oh my God. So yeah, there you go. Danny Johnson can take his jingle and go someplace else. Yeah, all right over there.
That last part got me. I shouldn't. When you have something up there, I shouldn't be sipping on mine.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea. So Ken, what do you think about the whole? I mean, does it matter to you? You feel some kind of way about it?
Let's be honest about this roster. There are guys that are playing, not a lot, but we have a certain number of players on this team that are practice squad players.
Yeah. Yes.
Danny Johnson is one of them.
Yeah.
A lot of our linebackers are too. And yeah, Danny Johnson is one of them.
Yeah. And, I don't want to mention names, Percy Butler, but, honestly, whoever comes in here in this new regime, general manager, head coach, coaches, let's get rid of this practice squad player mentality and think they can become stars.
Yeah.
Right.
Or starters or good depth players. Honestly.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to find players.
Danny Johnson has always been a practice squad player. Has he made some good plays here and there over the years? Yes. But that's the extent of it.
Yep.
Nothing more, nothing less. So, I saw something the other day where it says the average turnover of a roster for an NFL team each year, no matter if they're a playoff team or a last place team, is typically about 20 to 22 players. And it's been speculated that Washington will probably see a roster turnover of at least 30 and probably as many as 35 players.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that to me, and if it happens, I'm like, people don't be surprised when someone like Casey Toohill is gone.
Right. Yeah. The new GM is going to point to the door and say,
and Danny Johnson was just the start.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if Percy Butler is gone. I mean,
what was he, a 5th round pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays like one. Fourth.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I was almost convinced that we were in the 4th round of that draft. We were going to select Tarek Woolen, the corner out of Texas San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we got him. And then they said Percy Butler. I had him rated as a 7th rounder at most.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that is not good. And that's been proven. I'm not saying that I'm the smartest draft guy in the world.
No, but he hasn't played well.
But I will say this. When you have people like myself tooting my own horn a little bit, and you have people like Mark Tyler and Josh Taylor and a whole bunch of us that spend so much time on the draft each year, and we say, this guy's a 7th rounder, and we're selecting him in the 4th. And, and it just reminds me of Troy Apke. We chose him in the 4th round because, hey, he's really fast.
He can run, yeah.
He's really fast. But what else can he do?
Nothing much. I mean, he played okay at Penn State as a safety.
Yeah.
But, again, when people look at these guys from college and they're starting to make these – somebody telling me the other day, completion percentage, that stuff transfers to the pros. The fuck it does.
Yeah.
The guys that these quarterbacks are throwing against typically are going to go be accountants or middle managers or whatever the fuck else they're going to be. All right. Hardly any of them are going to make the pros. And the ones that do, hardly any of them will ever see the field for any significant amount of time. Yeah. It's just the way it is. So we're going to hear all the fluffing of all these quarterbacks. Oh, boy. Let me hear all these quarterbacks. Joe Alt, easy to spell, easy to say. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. So I mean, look, Fashanu, is that how you spell it too? I both of them will be
I'm a Penn
perfectly
State
fine. And then in the 2nd round, if you want to get was it Fatuna or something like that? Isn't that the other highly rated tackle that's actually rated as a guard? Mm-hmm. I want 3 offensive linemen in this draft in those first 5 picks. I really do.
I do not want the Ron Rivera patented. We're picking a guy in the 5th round that we think we can turn him into a backup punter. All right. I don't want any of that kind of freaking position flex horse shit. Get the fuck out of here with that stuff. Pick a guy that does the job that he does and does it well.
Use free agency for the defense and draft your offensive line with the draft. That's what I would do. And enough of this Marvin Harrison Jr. bullshit.
Yeah.
Your Brock Bowers. I mean, if you trust anybody named Brock,
Nice.
then that's you got issues. Can't trust. Can't trust a Brock.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be great. I think.
I think he is too.
But we can't. The thing about Joe Alt, which he's the one that I like. He's just as good as Marvin Harrison Jr. He just doesn't play a big freaking high profile position.
I mean,
right?
You get someone like Alt.
This is good for our team.
They're gonna be there game in and game out for 10 years. Obviously, knock on wood, with injuries. Injury stuff's happened. Those are cornerstones of your team. I'm sorry, a wide receiver isn't a cornerstone of your team because that wide receiver most likely is going to be gone 5 or 6 years.
Look at the Lions pick. What's this guy Jameson? How many games has he actually played?
That's true too. I mean, but listen, Calvin Johnson didn't do anything for the Lions. They didn't win a playoff game. They didn't win 10 games. Oh, I think they may have won 9 games one year.
Right. Well, this is Matt Millen running off to pick all the wide receivers he picked.
Deluxe. I think Devin White. I think is available. Yeah, I mean it's tough. Obviously, we do got to fill in linebacker somehow, some way.
Yes,
but I think first and your priority has to be 100% has to be offensive line.
Right. And I don't want to spend a lot. I mean, I hate to say that since I've been bitching about linebacker for the last 4 years. I don't want to spend a ton on these free agents. Devin White is a nice, good name, but he hasn't been playing well for the last couple of years. He hasn't been the Devin White that he was 3 years ago.
We have 7 picks in the top 139 picks.
We can find somebody.
Like that's good. That's really, really good. Like that's starter quality. You should be getting starter or premier backup with even those last 2 picks. But with the first 5 picks, they should all be starters.
Right. And don't pick somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me say something about today's mock draft that I had it put out there. I spent about 2 weeks putting it together. That's a little bit longer than what I normally do. But this is the first one that I consider the first official mock draft of the draft season.
Okay. And the first official Ken Johanssen mock draft.
Yeah. So the one thing that really has been impressed upon my mind is that this team, this coming off season, and it's already started, is going to place a heavy emphasis on analytics far into the future. For as long as Josh Harris owns this team and the Harris ownership group, they're going to place a heavy emphasis on analytics. And we already see that going on. So what I've been doing this season, whenever I post the Pro Football Focus analytics scores every week after each game, and a lot of people have problems with it, and I haven't really tried to defend it, but I've looked deeper and deeper into it. I understand why these scores are the way they are. But one thing I discovered in this mock draft is that I need to be looking at players that have good analytical scores. And PFF has them. Now you need a suspicion to, dive deep into it, and I have that. So some of the players that I have there, people are, kind of shaking their head a little bit. They're all good, and so people are saying, "Hey, good mock," but they have some question marks. But I'll give you a good example. With the 3rd pick, I had a cornerback out of Toledo, the University of Toledo, as our 3rd overall pick. Quinyon Mitchell, who's quite good. If you see a lot of his tape, he's one of the best corners in the nation. And you look at his analytics scores, no one's even close to him at that position. He's someone that I think will go at least in the 3rd round and probably in the 2nd. And if he's there in the 2nd with especially that 2nd pick in the 2nd round, I see Washington jumping all over him because of those scores. And I think they'll be very happy. But I think this is something that we need to look at other than just how pretty someone looks on tape. And so that's what I've been trying to do. So that a message to everyone, I'm focusing on analytics in this draft.
And I appreciate that, Ken, because you get a lot of people, especially fans, they do these mock drafts and the only thing they do is go watch highlights. They don't do the deep dive into the, player and how they've progressed in college. You got to look at that stuff. And I used to do that. I just don't have time anymore. So when I'm going off, information that I get is I'm going off of trusted people, and their deep dives. But I mean, I think the fact remains, yes, we do need some help on defense. And I do think that we need cornerback help. I do. I don't think St. Juice is going to cut it.
And Fuller is on. His contract is up.
Yeah, and I think
he's
there's
got
a chance
he's got enough time in the league that his minimum is going to be.
Yeah, there's a chance that we might by not having much of a choice, we might have to sign Fuller for another year just because, again, like I said, we just don't have. He
played well in the early part of the season, and he just fell off.
Fuller is solid. Yes, he gives up plays like every cornerback in the league does, but these 4 games were really big for Forbes as well too.
I want to see him develop.
I just want an emphasis on protecting Sam Howell. That's if we keep Sam Howell. Obviously, that's the big question right there. And these people that just want that shiny new toy, your Marvin Harrison Juniors is not really thinking of the overall building of the team. Now, if we were the Philadelphia Eagles or the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs, we could go out and draft the best player out there on the board.
It's a luxury for them.
Dogs. Yeah.
Right.
We're not in the position to have a luxury pick whatsoever.
No, and frankly, the fact that we've got such good prospects at tackle coming up this draft is luxurious for us, and as far as I'm concerned. Now, Burgundy, I'm going to throw one at you. I'm going to make a special request. As a friend for decades, I want you to do a scouting report on a kid named Vonnie Watkins. He's a defensive end out of Ohio. You know of him?
Go ahead.
Have you heard of him? Vonnie Watkins out of Ohio, defensive end.
We need 2 of them too.
Jeez. Well, no, I'm just checking this. I'd like to see what Burgundy has to say about it. See what Ken has to say about him. He grew up. I could throw my rock and hit his house. He grew up right down there. He's a friend of my son's.
Yeah.
He made third team all MEAC or all MAC.
Yeah.
You know him? You've heard him?
Yeah.
Okay. Canadian Football League special teamer, right?
Right.
I knew. Yeah, I know. He's not going to get invited to the Senior Bowl or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you on the spot. Don't worry.
Well, I just don't know a lot about him. Okay.
Basically, he's a decent defensive end. He's long and he's rangy, but he's a team player, so he will take on the double team to be able to.
I'll say this. I think I did look at something about a month and a half ago with him on a Saturday, because my Saturdays all day long is spent with this stuff. I spent maybe 10, 12 minutes looking at him. I just can't recall. I've probably looked at tape and scouting reports, everything of at least 330, 340 players at this point. So some of them are,
Well, I'll tell you what. Tomorrow is the Myrtle Beach Bowl. It's the first bowl of the season, and Vonnie's playing.
Yeah.
So, anybody that wants to watch this kid that grew up down the street from me, give him a shout.
What's your opinion on him?
Well, he's a kid that grew up down the street from me. I like him. He's a nice young man. whether he's a decent enough player to play in the NFL, I don't think so. I think that the program itself is not strong enough really to produce solid NFL talent. And as much as I'd love for it to happen for his dream, the fact of the matter is he grew up a Steelers fan. We used to argue right there on the porch right over there. I'd call his team a bunch of names.
All right.
But, he says, I could go to Canada, but he's got his degree. So good for him. But he might be able to play in Canada.
Probably should.
Sure.
I
think he's realistic enough to know that his NFL aspirations, Al Davis is dead. There's nobody going to be picking that name out of the back of the phone book, right? Who's this kid Watkins? Right.
We got a question from our buddy Peter. Says, do you see the fifth-year option being picked up for Jamin Davis this offseason? I got a little bit different against the grain course on this. No, I don't think they're going to do it. The new staff is not going to do it, but I think they should. And here's my reason why. I listened to a deep dive conversation about Jamin Davis with Logan Paulson. Just matter of fact, today and stuff that I've seen, especially the second half of the season. Davis has been playing better.
Yes,
in fact, I think he's probably played better than anybody else on that defense.
I think he's the most improved player on the team.
Yeah. Since we're so thin at linebacker, since we're so thin at players in general on contract, I wouldn't hate the idea of signing him just because there's so many. I mean, whoever the new defensive coach is, they're going to, install a natural 4-3 instead of our base 4-2-5 or 5-2-4. You're going to need multiple linebackers coming in this offseason. So you got a guy here, and if nobody picks him up, I'm sure he'll land with somewhere. Yeah. But if not, offer him a contract.
I'd say,
because we just need linebackers, and he's not as bad as most people think he is.
I think really isn't. Roquan Smith, got a big giant contract, but I don't see other linebackers getting something like that. And I think you're going to find out with this free agency period that the number is probably going to be much more reasonable on linebackers. And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it if we can watch a little bit of him next year, or we gotta. If you offer him the 5th-year option, what are you obligated to after that? Just as a general question is one thing I want to know. And for 2, dude, I really want to get something out of one of these first-round picks, man. Yeah. We have put so much into this defense to have to just jettison them left and right. I'm getting tired of it. That would be 3 out of 6.
I just think he's been put in a bad spot ever since he was drafted with this team.
He's never taught.
Well,
he was a project to begin with, and Jack's not a teacher.
Ken, what do you think?
I think and I've been frustrated with these mock drafts that I've done, and I've done 3 of them. I did a kind of a mini mock draft during the first mini
mock.
Well, it's the mini buy that we had after the Chicago game, and
gotcha.
I called it the mini mock. And so, what I didn't know is the Rivera regime returning or not. With the loss to Chicago, it changed everything. So I was like, oh, and I had to really redo that particular mock draft a lot. And then I did an online mock draft on Twitter about 3 weeks ago. A lot of people saw, and that was extremely difficult because I did it on the fly. So I was picking players and put what little knowledge I had of the players at the time and doing that. It turned out okay. So this most recent one, now what I'm dealing with is who's going to be the new coach, who's going to be the new GM. What are we going to do? What are we going to look at? So like a lot of us who are doing mock drafts right now, we may have some idea of the first 2 or 3, maybe even 4 or 5 picks. But we don't know what this new regime is going to do. And we talked about, could a quarterback be taken early on with that first pick? Sure, absolutely.
Would
it be an offensive? Would it be an offensive lineman? Sure, absolutely. But could it be another position that we're not thinking about, and then it happens, and we're like, "Wow, where did that come from?" So
we're gonna need a new long snapper.
Well, that's when you have to trade down the second round and get one in the third round, right?
Oh, no, yeah. Right.
Anyway, no, I just think that right now we just can't get ahead of ourselves and say Jamin Davis should be given a 5th-year option or Jamin Davis should not be given a 5th-year option. Next month, we'll start to get an idea what the new regime will do.
Right.
And
we won't see what he'll get. He's out. He's gone.
They only got so much time to offer that 5th-year option.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like Deluxe just said, what about a modest extension? Because the 5th-year option is $13.3 million, and there's no way in Sam Cell I'd be willing to pay that much. Because that
extension, I'd go for your extension.
What I think, though, in all of this,
you're going to have to beef it up just a little bit because he can always go somewhere else.
Yeah. So what I think is that we have to wait and see what this new regime, GM, coaches, etc., and see what they're thinking. And I think by sometime in February, we'll start to have an idea. And that's all we can do is sit and wait.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty impressive, honestly. I mean, the last time I did something on the fly, it was build a campfire, and I about damn near burned my dick off. So that was really not very
Speaking of that.
Oh, no. You reminded him of a story. Go ahead.
Yeah. A lot of people know that I did hiking and camping extensively over the years until I was sidelined medically. My eyebrows looked pretty weird, and you can see it here.
Okay.
And I did a campfire, and I was somewhere well off the Appalachian Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd hiked about probably 8 or 10 miles that day, found a spot off the trail that I liked in the woods, and I built a fire. Well, just make it short, I had an accident. And
tell the story, man. Go ahead.
Fire went into my face, and it singed me pretty good, especially my eyebrows and some of my hair right on the very top there. And yeah, that's when I was lucky, that I still was coherent and doing okay. That's when I kind of packed everything up in my pack, got it on my back, and I headed down the road back to my car. It took about 12 hours to get there. And I went to an emergency clinic in Roanoke. That's about the only one I found open.
God dang, boy, you done burnt your face off there.
Yeah, I did. And for about 6 months, I looked kind of not all that good. And
you're going to have to go in there and see Dr. Skeeter. He's going to give you a cream put on.
And my eyebrows, were affected, and they look pretty weird. And I have to, about every 2 weeks, I have to trim them back. And so they look a little bit normal. If I was just to let it go naturally, they would look really weird. But
I think that's what you should do.
No,
honestly, everybody
trust me.
Something. No,
in a few weeks, I'd be on a podcast, and they'd be like, "What is wrong with your eyes?" And I'm like, "No,
just tell them it's the full moon, and don't be keeping me long."
And a full moon's coming in a few days, by the way. So I know you'll be ready for it.
I tell you what, I just would love to have seen the Roanoke emergency room there with, hey, come on in here, Nurse Skeeter. We got somebody done burnt his face. Bring me the goddamn ointment.
Yes, sir, Dr. Skeeter.
Yeah, it was different. It was different, but they did a good job. I can't tell you which clinic it was, but they did a really good job. They were concerned about me, but I drove all the way back to Virginia Beach and was kind of taped up and everything. And then I saw my doctor back home, and yeah, it was about a 6-month recovery from it, but I still did my everyday stuff from there on.
Come on down to the Mullet Clinic here down in Roanoke, Virginia. I don't care whether you done burnt your face or stepped on a piece of glass or something like that.
Like I said, it's a very strange story, and I've always been very careful when hiking, camping, and I've always overplanned and everything. And I was real experienced, but it doesn't mean that you're immune from accidents and unusual things that happen along the way.
That's right. This is a friend of Smokey Bear, everybody. You should listen to him. He'll tell you. You can't fall in the fire and expect nothing to happen. I've lit my hair on fire several times, but that was because I used to do certain things that would have me.
Is that what happened?
Holding a flame right in front of my face, and you're out in the woods with your friends holding that flame right in front of your face, doing something with it. And all of a sudden you realize things are getting brighter, and I can hear this popple crackle. And then my friends are beating me on the head. Wham, wham, wham. And okay, you realize, shit, I done burnt my freaking hair again.
Yeah.
Now we get the story. That's the story. We know why.
I should have gone right on down to the Mullet Clinic there in goddamn Roanoke, Virginia. Get them goddamn fix my hair up right there.
Yeah.
All right. So give me are we wanting to win this game?
Sure, why not? I want to win every game. I don't, draft position. I know everybody wants to. I don't give a fuck. I would rather win every Sunday.
Even though I get these people that freak out. Oh my God, we're going to ruin our draft position. Well, if you could prove to me that you get better, although I really want Joe Alt. So, I don't care. If we do lose, I really don't care right now. It doesn't bother me because that for one, we can stay in that position. And for two, I expect it. Like what'd you say earlier, Ken? You expect 40 points more? I expect it too. We've gotten 45 laid on us twice in a row. I do not see how it's not going to happen again. But we'll go ahead and we'll go through the motions. Jesse, give me an X factor.
My X factor will be Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
It's him to come up with a game plan to protect Sam Howell, to get the ball out of his hands and run the damn ball. He's got a lot on his shoulders this week. He's had quite a few. We haven't had a good offensive game since this Seattle game. That seems like it was like years ago, right?
And we lost. We didn't even. We scored 20 points in that game.
No, it was close. It was right down to the wire.
I know. I'm just talking about what's our score,
28 or something, 29 or something like that. I don't remember. But anyways, we haven't had a good offensive showing since then. He's got to do something to be able to protect Sam Howell from the monster that is Aaron Donald. Mm-hmm. And we got to put more than 10 points on the board. I mean, that's just facts.
All right, Ken, who's your X factor for the day?
Two of them.
Two X factors. So it's the double X. Man, if he takes
one on offense, one on defense.
All right, go ahead.
On offense, Chris Rodriguez. We were talking about him earlier. I'm going to give him 81 yards rushing in this game.
That would be a high for the season.
Yeah, and then I will have him with 2 receptions for 27 yards.
How about touchdowns? 2 touchdowns?
1 touchdown.
1 touchdown.
I'll dig it.
And on defense, the X factor, Quan Martin with 2 interceptions and losing cause.
2 INTs. Oh, look, Quan's going to play a big role in this, but like if we're doing a defensive X factor, I think Forbes. I can see Forbes having a big game. I mean, Cooper Kupp and Puka.
Whether he has one or not.
That's true.
He's got. Yeah, it would be good if he did. That's the X factor. Have a good game.
So our defensive backfield is going to have their hands full. I mean, they're not going to have the speed demons they had from Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense did play better than the score showed. I believe going back and watching the game again, I thought they had their moments, but they still gave up the big play. They still let Tyreek get behind them multiple times. If they can somehow, some way limit that a little bit, we could have a closer game.
The Rams, though, they don't really go like vertical as much.
Yeah.
They got a lot of ways that they get guys wide the hell open, running at full speed. They went vertical last week, and I think it was Nakua or it was Kupp that scored, one or the other. I just, it sounds to me like a fucking Caribbean song, Puka Nakua and Kupa Nakua. So that's just the way it goes for me. So one of the two of them, we gotta be able to do that. So the X factor for me, I think, our defensive line, get at Stafford, take him out of the game. And I don't mean, I'm not cheering for somebody to get hurt, but that seems to be the way to take him out of the game. I don't know who their backup is, but I'd rather see him than I'd rather see Matt Stafford. So go get him. On offense, my X factor is Terry McLaurin. All right, look, a lot of talk this week, mostly from fans. You're not going to hear much from Terry, but hey, dude, I don't want to hear you got a whole lot of cardio. Get open. Let's go. Get the ball, man. And I see Eric Bieniemy's got to do things to be able to make that happen. I love this idea about stack formations that we talked about earlier, and I want to see it. When we say this and they say, okay, we're going to get the ball to Terry, they force it to him early, and then they go away from him.
Yeah.
So
supposedly him and Eric Bieniemy had a long conversation on the model. So we'll see. We did not mention the new hire that they brought in. What's his role? He sports science.
This is this is that cornerback we just signed, Caillou.
Caillou Blue. But I think it's good. I'm not sure why. I think you can see Josh Harris, his focus on analytics. The guy they brought in, to study the sports science, nutrition, and strength and programs and stuff like that.
TB12 method.
Yeah, yeah. So that's good to see. He's brought in two guys. Eugene Shin, who I think is going to have a major role in this team, especially in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely see the role kind of flip towards from old school football to the more analytical side of the game. We've been far behind
so far. Let's see what coach they hire.
Yeah, as long as it's not Bill Belichick, it is what it is.
Guys, what it is finally this team is coming into the 21st century.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. I mean, seriously, I don't mean that as a joke.
I 100% agree. Yeah,
what's happening.
You're right. You're right. So, all right, then we're going to go right into the 21st century because we've all been on here for 70 minutes and whatnot.
Score picks.
Score picks. Let's go do that. Go ahead, Ken. Let's hear your score pick first.
The more and more I think about it, I said 40 plus.
I'm going to 50.
I'm going to say the Rams 38-28.
28.
I'd be okay with 28 points, Ken. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'd be all right with almost 30 points. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't expect to win. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of in the lines with Ken there. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to say 32-26.
That is pretty close. I will tell you what. I will say, since you said 26, I will say that as well. We will get 26, but they will get what we got in the Super Bowl against the Bills when they got 26, and we'll get 37.
42?
I mean, they'll get 37.
Oh, yeah, 37.
Right, 37. Okay, so 37-26 Rams, unless the defensive line can get in there and, take out Matt Stafford, for lunch or something.
So we are pushing our pick show until Sunday. Is that right?
That's right. Sunday morning at, I believe, 10:30, we are going to do our pick show because Scott, as you can tell who isn't here today, Scott has decided that it's much more important for him to be with his family at Christmas time. Oh, Scott says, look, you blokes, I'm going to hang out with the fam, and that's what he's going to do. So we have to rearrange everything for Scott, but I'm kind of excited to do that on Sunday morning at 10:30 because it's going to rain and I ain't going to be doing it.
Yeah, it's going to be nasty. I will say, go ahead, Ken. Go ahead.
I'm sad that he wasn't here. I thought for sure he'd be here.
No, he's not here.
By the way,
I told you.
Tomorrow night, I'm going to Texas Roadhouse with family.
Love that place.
Yeah. Now, in our family, we don't celebrate birthdays by giving gifts. I've never received a gift for my birthday. That's just the way it is.
You ever get a blowjob?
But we do go out for supper. So we're going out tomorrow night. And Sunday, I become Medicare eligible, which is I'm already in that. So, yeah, I turned 65 on Sunday.
Happy birthday. Let's get the Rams to lay down you a birthday.
Normally, I don't really toot my horn on birthdays.
Take the wins where you can get them, Ken. Take the wins where you can get them.
The birthday, somebody else got to be tooting your horn. And I'm, I don't know how much
what I'll say
$50
is if Sam Howell can give me a 4-touchdown, 378-yard day, win or lose, I'm going to be happy with that, and that'll be a great birthday gift. That's the only reason. That's the only reason I bring up Sunday and turning 65 that day.
Well, congratulations. That is a nice age to reach. I'll be there in 5 years, I suppose.
So tomorrow or Sunday, if I'm not there, I'm dead. My lovely daughter has decided to sign us up for the Surfing Santa 5-mile run or 5K. Well, it's a 5 mile. Yeah. 5-mile run tomorrow night in Virginia Beach. So I will be there, probably dead afterwards because, I haven't ran in 20 years. So
it's
going to be fun.
I haven't ran since I bought a car.
So,
you know what? I run around on the pickleball court, but it's only like 5 steps at a time. So
yeah,
that's fine. When you
the last time I ran is when my 200-gallon sprayer
you were chasing the truck,
chasing it. Because I left it in gear, and I had a whole bunch of middle schoolers out for PE laughing their asses off at me as I was chasing a boom sprayer across
that he left
the field.
in gear. That is terrific. There's got to be some freaking CCTV footage of that somewhere. You work for you work for him, you could probably find it. I would love to have that, so that I don't have to go making it, because I can make it. But I won't. I don't want to make it. All right, so we will see you guys Sunday morning for the NFL Pick Show with Scott, who's going to be hopefully, not completely drunk and loaded, because that's really where he is tonight. He called us up earlier. He said, "Look, boy, I'm pissed. Fucking,
I'm pissed right now."
Yeah, I'm pissed. So
I'm pissed.
Right, but that will give me an extra day to teach Scott a lesson about blowing us off on the last day right before we're ready to do the show. I have his face and his picture, and I will Photoshop it into as many things as I can tomorrow, as long as I have time.
It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
That's right. I'll be watching my my young friend Vonnie Watkins, my kid's friend Vonnie Watkins, playing in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and I hope you do too.
And thanks for everybody in the chat joining in on the conversation. Keep it up. Our conversations, as you know, if y'all have been watching us long enough, they go in all sorts of different directions. So you help us keep in line, kind of keep it straight. So we definitely appreciate you, Peter and Deluxe and Hunter and everybody in the chat. And good old Cheeseman. Look at that, man. That's a beautiful, beautiful snap.
That's the only thing that put him in the Pro Bowl, and it's just not enough for all of you people with the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, and also we didn't talk about the Pro Bowl, but we'll save that for next week, because I have some thoughts about that. But Ken, you are always welcome on the show. You're going to be our Memphis correspondent, and we're going to get you on. We'll probably get you on probably after the year is done with, or next time Scotty likes to call out of work. But we got some draft talk to talk about, and that's going to be fun. So we're definitely going to have you on for that.
And I'll have my draft cap on that people have seen.
Might I recommend the blowjob for your birthday?
Oh, Jesus Christ, John.
No,
what? Right. I mean, you don't have to do it. Maybe you misunderstood. All right, everybody. We've had enough fun for the night. Ken, thanks as always, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Where can people find your work?
On hogshaven.com.
There you go.
And I plan to have 2 articles next week, obviously grading the game, the Rams game. And I'm going to have a stadium update for the Commanders and how the move that the Wizards and the Caps made affects Washington. And it's not what you may think.
All right. I'll be interested to read that, everybody. Make sure you pick it up when you see Ken out there on social media this week, and make sure you subscribe to his blog.
Also, I'm on Twitter at Burgundy Burner.
At Burgundy Burner.
Yeah,
I think everybody knows you.
I do also have some thoughts about the Wiz and Cap, but we're going to save that till all of us are here together, because it's a conversation that should be had. So I'm definitely interested in reading your work on that, Ken.
Thank you.
Me too. All right, then Jesse and I will see you on Sunday morning. And anybody that wants to go ahead and push those thumbs up or smash those like buttons and subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mother, tell your sister, tell your brother, everybody that you fucking know. Pester them until they listen to this show. It's good for them. Till then, later.